The story is Yu Darvish. Yu Darvish went out there. He kept them off balance the entire game, and they played unbelievable defense behind him. We talked about it. All three outfielders. Arise made a couple great plays at first base. One of them stopped the Dodgers' momentum, the line drive double play. But, if you're going to pitch, you're going to have to play defense behind, and that was pretty impressive.
I want to hear what D-Train had to say about Yu Darvish keeping Ohtani off of balance that bad. Like, I haven't seen Ohtani look like that on pitches. Like, this is the guy that I can tell you that he stay on off-speed pitches better than anybody I have seen. But he seems like he was having difficulties tonight trying to catch up with a backdoor slider from Yu Darvish, and plus the fastball. Like, he was absolutely off. So I'm wondering, I would like to see the breakdown of it.
Yeah, I mean, this is really the story is Yu Darvish, and like Derek said, defense. But Yu Darvish is so rewarding to see him come so far. All three of us faced him a lot. And the fact is, he had 69 pitches through 6 innings. I remember with the Rangers, that'll be a good 3 innings. So credit to him. He's like a mad scientist. And credit to the Padres staff that has let him be creative, think outside the box, use all 7 pitches. And tonight, D-Train was talking in the green room. He was about 75% soft of some type of version of a cutter, fastball, and, of course, 5 or 6 different breaking balls.
Shohei Ohtani had said leading up to the game that Yu Darvish was his idol growing up in Japan. In the 2022 Division Series when San Diego bounced L.A., and a big start here tonight. In fact, you could make a case that this was among his best, if not his very best, postseason start. And let's keep in mind the fact that he wasn't even with the Padres for much of the season. Came back in September, threw the ball well, and they're going to lean on him from here on out.
You know, talking to a few people today from the Padres organization, the one thing they focused on with Yu Darvish has been really, well, look, it's getting late here. Let's see, here we go. More focus. Yeah, the focus, I had to write it down because the focus has been on command and really trying to get quick outs and induce weak contact. And that's why you have 69 pitches after just 6 innings, right? Before, he was trying to strike everybody out, get swing and misses. He's going back to pitching. And by the way, this looked like an 80s, 90s type win with great pitching, good contact, and tremendous pitching deep in the game.
There's such a variation from his speeds, right? His fastball, and he's flipping, what'd you guys, 7? You said 7 pitches?
Yeah.
D-Train said he had a whoopie-doo. What do you call it?
Whoopie-doo slider.
Whoopie-doo slider. I mean, you have so many different pitches with so many different speeds. And he was flipping breaking balls in there when he was behind in the count. Mm-hmm. And as a hitter, usually when you get the advantage, you're looking for one pitch in one spot. But he had control over his off-speed pitches. And I tell you what, that's a tough recipe right there.
You hit a good point when you say that the 69 pitches with Texas would have been 3 innings. Mm-hmm. The difference that I noticed, I face Yu Darvish a lot. Mm-hmm. And the difference that I know tonight coming from him, thinking about back then when I used to face him, it seems like he was more afraid of contact back then. And that's why he was waggling around the plate more likely before. Now, all of a sudden, he's throwing his pitches executable in the strike zone. And that's the difference, pitching 3 innings, 69 pitches, than pitching 6, 7 innings at 69 pitches.
And, Papa, I love what you're saying. And if you're a young kid out there, you're a teenager, you want to be a pitcher, 7 innings and only 2 strikeouts. It's okay. The bottom line is you got to win. It's not you want to go pitch 4 innings with 9 strikeouts and 7 walks. You got to pitch. And tonight, Yu Darvish put on a master class.
You have defense behind you, and the defense for them showed up and proved it today.
Great defensive day for the Padres. 7 innings from Yu Darvish. Great defensive night. 6 homers.
Yeah, Yu Darvish was the story tonight, I think, for the Padres. There was a lot of, there were a lot of some anxious moments with Padre fans. What Yu Darvish were they going to get? I know this, Greg. I have 10 fingers. He throws more pitches. I can't even count them on both hands. He's got a fastball, slider, curveball, sinker, split finger. He has so many pitches, hard to keep track of them. He doesn't pitch into any pattern. He can be at times frustrating because you'd like to see him maybe cut that repertoire down and command 2 or 3 pitches instead of having 7 or 8. He was brilliant tonight. And I thought the big key for this, too, they were able to save that bullpen. They used Tanner Scott, but they're high-leverage guys. They're rested. They can open up everything they want to do. And they've got their best starting pitcher, Michael King, going Game 3.
I'll tell you what, that was the best performance I've seen from Yu Darvish. Defense made some great plays, but the calmness, that's come with experience in the postseason. He was always, looked like he was almost like worried about a lot of things that he could not control. The biggest thing was when they had the 10-minute delay and the players, Schilt, everybody had to come, and they had to call everybody out. He basically sat down on the mound and said, all right, let's go. When
That
you're
was
ready,
the bottom of the
we'll
seventh
go.
inning.
And the calmness in which he did that,
Yeah.
came back and was able to throw strikes and just pick up his game plan. It's beautiful.
Leadoff guy got on base, and we're like panicking for you. Like,
Get the bullpen
wheels
up.
might fall off now.
Yeah.
But he grinded through
Yeah.
and gave the Padres the length they needed in Game 2. They evened the series, one game apiece. It's a blowout. I don't care what the score is. I don't care. It's Greg Amsinger, my guys, Harold Reynolds and Dan Plesac. I don't know if I've ever been so amped up to talk about 2 playoff games than I am tonight. There's so much meat on the bone here. And we're going to push the Philly game off to the side because you've been watching a looped show. Adnan Virk and Sean Casey deserve an award for how they dominated that broadcast. But here we are reacting to what happened in Los Angeles. What comes to your mind, Harold Reynolds? The first thing that pops into your mind when you think about this victory for the Padres?
They had to remove the players from the field. And Manny had a meeting in the dugout, and Mike Schilt was a hero. You saw him meet with his team out on the field protecting his players. And I want to know what happened, what was said to Profar to send him off. That's what I think about. Great game, but that's the headline.
All right. And joining us now, Jurickson Profar of the victorious San Diego Padres. Jurickson, thank you so much for joining us. Greg Amsinger with Harold Reynolds and Dan Plesac. I want to jump to the moment that you were set off. What took place in left field that made you lose your temper like that?
Just a couple baseball coming my way.
Were you hit with any one of those baseballs?
No, I wasn't hit. I wasn't hit, but, you know, when you standing on the field like that, things are throwing off the back of your head, you know, it's a little scary.
Was that the first time someone's thrown something at you? Was anything thrown at you in Game 1?
This is the second time. This is the second time. I think that the Game 1, they wanted to do it, but then they were winning, so they stopped. You know, I think if we were still winning in Game 1, they would have done the same.
Hey, Jurickson, it's Harold here. This is a rivalry, man. This is a true rivalry. But you got to take me back to the catch. Nobody knew you had it, except for you and one other guy who tried to take it from you.
I always wanted to do that. That was in my mind. I want to rob a homer, you know, and I did it in the playoff. It was awesome.
And there was one fan who, he actually looked at you and said, man, that was a great catch. There was a guy you took it from. What were your exchange with him?
No, I didn't say anything, but I felt something touching the glove, you know, trying to get me out of the way. So I had
well,
to,
you're in the stands. I'd be grabbing your glove.
It felt like, you know, an NBA game when you're dunking on guys. It felt like that.
It was awesome, man.
Hey, Jurickson, it's Dan. Would you imagine Petco Park is going to be pretty loud on Tuesday night?
I can't wait. But we're not throwing stuff on the field, though. San Diego fans, we don't do that. We just cheer, you know.
I love that. What did Manny Machado say to you guys in the dugout? Because you guys went off with the bats after that.
just stay calm and trying to focus on the game, you know, not trying to get off the focus of the game and thinking about, you know, other stuff. Just focus on the game, and we did.
Now, imagine standing out in the outfield and you got baseballs whizzing by you from the stands. That's a scary thing.
Way unacceptable.
Totally
unacceptable. And,
totally unacceptable.
And again, I don't even want to say that's representation of the Los Angeles Dodger fan base,
No.
which is an amazing fan base.
Yeah.
I hate when knuckleheads can brand a group of people
Yes.
that love the game and are passionate for their team.
I'm with
Those
you
are
on that.
knuckleheads that did that, and hopefully we never see that again in the series.
You know the coolest part about this of watching this tonight? It's kind of refreshing to see two teams that matters, right? You have to have a villain. And it kind of feels like the Padres are the villain. And watching this, it's kind of a throwback to years ago when teams don't like each other. It's rather obvious. The Padres don't like the Dodgers. The Dodgers don't like the Padres. You saw the banter between Jack Flaherty and Manny Machado. These teams don't like each other, and I think it's great TV. I do. I enjoy this.
Steal my line.
You know what?
It's good TV.
It is.
And then what do you just make of that game and all the emotions between the teams and then obviously with the crowd? Like, how much can that shift the dynamic of this series?
Well, I thought, we knew going into this series there was going to be a lot of emotions. and they just played a better baseball game than we did tonight.
Skipper, we all know of the friction between these two clubs. How surprised are you that it went to that extent this evening?
As far as the whole thing that transpired on the field, well, shoot, I've seen over 1,000 games here, well over 1,000 games in this ballpark, and I've never seen anything like that. And so obviously there's a lot of emotions and things like that, but that's something that should never happen. And I guess I was pretty naive too as far as the specifics, but I know that security handled the person that was involved as far as, throwing the baseball in the field, and you just never want to see that. And like I said, I've seen so many games at Dodger Stadium, and our fans are as good as any that I've ever seen.
What did you make of the commotion on the field today?
What I got out of it was a bunch of dudes that showed up in front of a big hostile crowd with stuff being thrown at them and said, we're going to talk with our play. We ain't going to back down. We're going to elevate our game. We're going to be together, and we're going to take care of business.
Mike, when you talk about composure and your team being able to, despite the success and everything going on, keep themselves composed, how much pride does that give you, where it seemed like from the broadcast, Manny brought everybody together, had a conversation, that you guys can deal with that in-house without you having to step up and say something in-game?
Yeah, no, I mean, I went on the field to make sure my players were safe and make sure there was some precautions taken. Dan and the umpires crew, I thought, did a really good job in a tough situation. They kept their composure, fine balance between, figuring out getting them off the field. We're trying to get you out there for the seventh. The guys are wanting to play, making sure guys are safe. So I felt like the crew did a really good job. So hats off to Dan and that group. And then we talked a little bit on the field, and then, to Manny's credit, his leadership gets everybody. He's able to share, how we want to compete in the dugout with our group. And, it was impressive, and just it brings us even closer together.
Ohtani at bat, where he threw just a mixture of 80 mile an hour and 70 mile an hour curveballs. To your point from yesterday, finding a way to get him out, not throwing fastballs down the middle. And then the final one was the hardest pitch he threw, and he just chinked it back to the mound. I thought that was incredible pitching for him.
I do too. Pitching is the disruption of hitters' balance and timing. That's why I feel comfortable about our guys. We have a lot of really talented arms. You was really good at that. The back and forth is the timing, the in and out is the balance, and he was able to do that masterfully tonight against the whole lineup.
Did you think the whole thing kind of started with Tatis getting hit there, and then Manny and Flaherty going at each other for a while, and then kind of devolved into that 7-inning thing?
I don't know how it got there. I mean, listen, there's competition between the lines that's going to take place. That again, we don't really look to start anything. We're not going to take it. That's going to happen in high leverage situations. How that happens is no excuse for what happens in the stands and things being thrown at and safety of our players. There's no escalation to that. We know, both sides know this is a competitive series. We're going to compete hard. They're going to compete hard. Things are going to happen. We can leave that on the field. But as far as anything happening, in a stadium like that with towards our players, that's just not acceptable. And I know we're about to go back to San Diego with a very, very loud, raucous, aggressive, hungry crowd that's going to be super excited and going to be getting after it. But I know also that we'll stay classy, San Diego.
ご視聴ありがとうございました。チャンネル登録と高評価よろしくお願いします。